Now, on our little path here that I've recently been exposed to, which I consider to be nothing but just all the stars are lined up for me. But when I came up, of course, I was under the ether of the generator over there on the left being what I actually needed, and I'm kind of fast forwarding through all this. So if anyone asks me how it all came about, is that I remember when I first met you there, and we were talking about that. I always kept focusing on that generator, and you kept saying, "Boy, it sure it is. That heater works over there pretty good." And I kept going back to that generator because I wasn't at a point to where, obviously, I didn't know the end game like I do. Just scratch the surface on the end game. My last departure the other day when my TomTom went south. That I'll add that in here in a minute. But I evolved from there in the learning process, knowing that the generator is not the end game. That isn't even pre-K yet. That's still thinking about pre-K. And then the heater that you reference has the secrets within and potential in that device. Is that also coupling it with that generator, or what's
the generator fits into the picture? Any normal generator, which you'd find on, like I said, 5,000 watt gas generator.
Yeah.
If you put 2 horse in, you get 1 horse out. That means you put in about 1,500 watts in the thing, you get about 750 watts out. That one there, if you put in 1,000, you'll get 900. Okay, and that's not the perfect design. There's no generator with permanent magnets that's over unity, but they're close to 90%, okay? So that's 90% instead of 50%, so that means your system can be just over unity that's creating the energy to run it, and it'll go standalone. Where if it's 50%, you got to go to 2 to 1 to stand alone, and you're losing half of what you could have been putting out in real power to be used for something else.
And so the generator that I was looking at, that would be something that would either at that rate of efficiency coupled with which I don't know how to describe how the heat.
If I had 110% output, which I got 400 on the heater,
yeah,
and I could convert that into rotation, at 110 it'd run itself, and there'd be nothing left. I'm at 420. So I'll have 300% more out than what I'm putting in, and I can run something else and run myself forever.
Yes, and then our objective is to scale up to where, now where did you say, when did this, I remember you told me something like the whole thing would turn into a molten pot of just laying there. What happened?
Well, if you didn't cool the aluminum that's in the heat exchanger, it would melt down just like a reactor and shut down, but the magnets would quit working and it quit operating, so it would quit making heat. So it's got a built-in safety.
Yes.
If you overheat it, something fails, it'll just kill the magnets, and you got to replace them. Now,
when you was talking about the magnet thing, this is going to be a real basic thing coming from me, but that's kind of where I'm at on this. When that generator's spinning, those magnets are in there, they're capturing the energy, right?
No, the magnets are creating a current, and the current is creating amperage, and then that creates heat. Okay, everybody tries to get away from, in electric systems, to make an over-unity generator. Everybody's trying to get rid of all the heat and turn all the energy into real power and get more than they put in. Well, the laws of thermodynamics and Lenz's law always prohibit that. I said, well, hey, why try doing that? Let's go into it instead of away and see what happens, but let's do it in such a way that we send that high current into a circle, because that's called a tensor. In other words, if you take a ring of copper wire or any kind of a donut-shaped piece of metal, okay, and you put current through that, the right-hand rule says that the lines of force that create the magnetic field are going to cancel each other out. Now, if you get rid of the magnetic field, because it's gone one direction on one side of the circle and the opposite side on the other side, then they technically become a zero. And mathematically, if you divide by zero, what do you get? Your calculator goes error because it's in.
Yeah.
Just a second, somebody's beeping on my phone here. Let him beep one more time.
Okay.
It's Mike. I just texted for him, and he's chomping at the bit to get it back. He's got to bring his hard drive over so I can put it back in there. I found a little part worth about 1/10 of a cent that died on the board and fixed it for him. Anyway, the tensor field is a null. It's a 0 point. It creates a 0 point on the magnetic vector. Therefore, because the particles are only in the environment, there's bosons and fermions. The fermions are here. The bosons are in another dimension. You have to balance the equation. So if you mess with this dimension, then the energy has to be collected from somewhere else, which is not here. Okay? And then an effect occurs where you literally transport that energy back into our dimension, and it turns into heat. Okay? And over unity heat. And excess of input by 4 to 1. And that's what I'm using to make this power, or make this energy, which is coming out in the form of heat. So if you put in 2.5 horse, you get out 10 horse. You put in 10 horse or 15 horse, you get 60 horse out.
And then you flip the heat into spinning something, boiling something, or whatever.
You either can boil liquids like alcohol and make pressure or water. You can boil water because it's running at between 500 and 1,000 degrees in there. And it's
after pulling some.
And it's instantaneous. When you turn this thing on, it's not like it's getting warm and warmer. It's 1,000 degrees right now. It's on a molecular level. It's actually coupling into another dimension to get its power, so there's no delay. It's there right away. You just got to be careful how you tap into it, because if you do it too fast, things can get kind of weird.
What do you mean by weird?
Well, you can break things.
Oh, okay.
You're talking, 10, 15,000 watts in the case of where we're headed with the next one. We're talking, 60,000 watts of power or 50,000 watts of power. You fool around with that and do it too quick, things break. They expand from the heat too quick.
Yeah.
And you can shoot bolts out like bullets.
Bolts.
So you got to give everything a chance to kind of, move into position. You don't want to just shock it, because you can make that energy come in there so fast that you can literally create a thermal shock environment where you can literally cause bolts to come out like bullets.
Okay.
Can you give everything a chance to kind of move into position. There's a little slop in there, and until it gets warmed up, you don't want to be firing it up too fast.
Well, is that controllable?
Well, you're dealing with something that's like 60 horsepower. Okay, it's like going in your car, throwing the throttle on the floor and then dropping the clutch. You're liable to take the drive shaft off. Now, if you take the same amount of energy and gradually bring it up to speed, well, it works fine. But anything mechanical doesn't like a sudden change. Okay.
So to say the least, you got a handle on the box that creates the heat, and that's the interest level.
My theory is we're coupling into another dimension. We're coupling into boson space, which is an infinite different dimension that we spend half our time in. And by skewing the mathematics on this side of the equation, by creating this counterbalanced field that cancels itself out in one dimension here, it forces the energy to come in from a different one. Okay? On a quantum physics level, that's the determination I've made. That gives us real energy here that we can use to heat our homes. We can turn it into electricity. It can power the unit on its own, theoretically, because there's enough there.
The what kind of zone?
Say again, please, elaborate.
What was the last thing that you said? I missed it.
I said it can power our homes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Because we're actually, twisting the laws of physics here to get at it. And if we do it properly, then we can control it too, which what I've done is learn how to control it and computerize it and analyze it and display it.
Now, I want to I won't get off into this too deep, but it's very interesting to me when you was describing just a while ago. And did you, if I remember right, you said that you was searching to find out why your heating device there was over unity, and you found that this equation R or whatever that you just describing being zero, and what do you divide anything by zero, what do you get? And at that point, you're saying that anything below that would be on the left side or the other side or another dimension. Is that right?
Well, everything that we're doing math on is assumed to be in the third dimension, except for when you divide by 0. Okay, and technically, when you have a 0 in the equation where there's division operations, you either get nothing or infinity. You get some number that can't be calculated because 0 is a 0 value, and 0 into anything is an infinite number. Because 0 is never 0. It's just a slight number above 0, which makes it a minutely small quantity divided into something a real number. Okay, so the ending equation, if you can hit that point in the system, can yield incredible amounts of energy with no real input.
And that's where you're saying that it draws from some?
Right. Now the next thing to do is the reason to build a bigger one, which is what we're talking about doing.
Yep. Is
to see if, as the mass of the device goes up, does that quantity of energy collected stay the same at 420%, or does it go to 4,000% or 12,000%? Because if it does, then that means that you can build literally power plants that run on permanent magnets for generations. That's what we're here to find out next.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't been able to go due to, funding issues.
Yeah. Well, that horse has just come in, but this is very interesting.
We know what it's like at the size it is now. It's 2.5 horse in, 10 point something horse out. So we go to say 14 horse in, we should have 58 horse out. If we end up with 588 horse, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because then we've got megawatts, okay, of power, and we're only putting in 10 horsepower to get it.
And you channel that back. It's standalone, obviously.
Then what you do is, if you have that much over unity, then just common thermoelectric generators would be more than adequate to run the system, and then you still have all the energy coming out, and you can convert it back into whatever form of power you want. Rotational, electric, whatever. Doesn't matter. Pressure. Most all power plants run on steam. Okay? Well, we can make steam. And that's not a problem. We have plenty of heat here to make all the steam you could ever want. And what you do is replace all the fuel, all the natural gas, all the coal with these things and hook them up to the same generators, and you just get rid of the fuel issue on the supply end of the generating plant, and you just have, once they're started, systems running with no input.
Oh,
and
my
electricity
God.
gets suddenly very cheap, and the power company is very happy because they're making a fortune because they don't have to buy coal and deal with the EPA anymore.
Yeah. Interesting.
And ships don't need gas tanks. Airplanes don't need gas tanks. Cars don't need gas tanks.
Oh, my God.
In the garage, it'll power your house while it's parked in the garage. And you get paid for having it in there because you can put one in the trunk. And it'll sit there and run all the time, so if you're not driving, well, that's an extra 40,000 watts you can sell to the power company.
Yeah, there's a lot of different angles to go about this. It's just mind-boggling.
That's the problem, and then that's what I call disruptive technology. But you can also do it to create living communities that are self-powered and, keep it on below the radar and stay off the mountains other people have staked out. And
I got you
where,
there.
You have a economic and a technical advantage,
I think that we've established quite clearly that you have a handle on that aspect of it there. I wanted to because a couple friends of mine are, they have corn deal, farms, ranches, whatever. And that tornado that you created there, the little tunnel that creates natural
fertilizer unit, it's using air. Using air is about 70-some% nitrogen, and oxygen and a little carbon dioxide and a few other inert gases like neon and xenon and helium.